Today I'm going to be working on my project Teeter-Tot, my Audi TT. If you didn't see my last video, I just recently got a Quick Jack 5000 series lift, which the TT is currently sitting up on. I left it up for 2 days since that last video to see if it would hold the car for 2 days straight, which I don't see why it wouldn't, but it was just some kind of a little test I wanted to do. The plan is today to get the drive shaft on the car since I failed the last attempt I tried doing it, and I'm going to assemble the drive shaft outside of the car before I put it on there. So I'm going to put the drive shaft together dry. There's gonna be many innuendos in this video, and I'm going to try to hold myself together and be a mature adult. Now that I have all the components nice and clean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to assemble this. So I have this marked towards the front, and the cage that goes over the little piece in the center here, which I just slipped on really easy. The tapered end right here, see how it's tapered? And then this side over here just is kind of like, has a notch or like a groove cut into it. This is gonna face the rear of the car. And then this taper right here is gonna face the front so it can get driven down over the front drive shaft. The only other thing you need to know really when assembling this, after you inspect all the components, make sure there's no like severely worn areas or cracks or anything that would impede its ability to function correctly, which this one is good. I inspected it, nothing is cracked, nothing is corroded or pitted or worn in a way which will make this not operate as intended. So I'll start popping the balls in there. So I'm gonna start by doing one right here. Stick it in there. And then see how I have the little facing the big gap facing the little side? That's what you want it to be like when you're putting this together. You don't want little to little and big to big, or else this thing will be locked up in the center, which I've already learned the hard way trying to force it together. So I'm gonna rotate it down to this side. You can see doing this under a car would be really hard, especially if it's covered in grease. Go across from it. The more balls you have in here, the trickier it gets. Now it is gonna get harder to move, so I'm gonna use my brass punch. See if I can pry this down a little bit. And there we go. The way you'll know if you have this back together correctly is see how I can push the center and I can pop it back out this way, like that. See how there's like movement in the center of it, and I can pivot it, move it around on the center. It moves and pivots. And I'm doing this with my hands. I'm not using a punch or anything to get it to move. If it moves around freely like that, then you know you have it correct. So now it's all together. I'm gonna stick it on top of the shaft and slide it down over it. Gasket. This is the metal gasket that goes on this side of the cup. Snap ring pliers. Definitely want to wear safety glasses when you're doing this. The snap ring will hurt, hit you in the eye. Alright, so this little washer is a conical washer. It's kind of beveled like this. You want the bevel, so like the Pac-Man mouth is going towards the CV. So the smaller end is going to go down into that little groove. Now I've ran into a new dilemma. Because this is flush, I need to keep driving it on there. So that's what a 30mm socket's for. The snap ring should just go on there like that. There you go. I hate this. Stuff stinks so bad. It's so gross. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pull the CV down as far as I can. And I'm just gonna start shoving grease in there and then pulling it back up and down and up and down. And then the other end of the drive shaft, this pole right here, I'm going to just fill the cup full of grease too and make sure this thing's good and packed full of grease. Stuff smells like robot farts. got the drive shaft packed with a holy metric crap ton of grease. I used an entire packet of grease. So, hello, whoever's texting me. I'm going to try to install the rear and the front separately, because now that all I gotta do is bolt the center half together instead of try to assemble the CV like I was in the last video. No. Yeah, it should be a lot easier now to just bolt it together. Should be, in theory. We'll give it a shot, we'll see, because it'll make installation a lot easier since I have to fish the guibo through the subframe. And if not, then I'm gonna undo the dog bone at the rear of the engine and see if that will give me some more clearance. I cleared it up over there, or the subframe. This heat shield's a real treat, but it's up in there. Now I'm gonna try to fish the downpipe in. So I bought 2 different length hardware. One is 30 mil, the other one is 35 millimeter. So it's a M10 by 35 and an M10 by 30. Hopefully this is the right size. If not, I got one that's a little bit longer. But either or, both of them clear through the guibo. So, and it's the same thread pitch. So let's give this a shot. Slide them both up there. Come on, downpipe. I have faith in you. Well, I did it. I got the front half of the drive shaft on there, tightened down the hardware. The hardware comes out the back side of the Phoebe bushing, or guibo bushing, whatever. I like Phoebe better. Phoebe's fun. Phoebe buffet bushing. There's a tiny bit of thread showing. I'd say about 2 threads, maybe just 1 to 2 threads show past the bushing. So there's no reason why they'll hit anything. There's barely any coming through. So that's good. Downpipe is in there. I didn't bolt the downpipe up yet though. I'm leaving it loose for now. I'm going to get the rear half of the drive shaft up on here now and see if I can connect that greasy fella right there. All right, here goes the rear. Wish me luck. Oh, so close. That close. I could almost get the drive shaft to clear the other one. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna undo the dog bone at the rear of the engine and see if that's enough to push it forward a little bit. I don't know if I'm that strong. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it on my own. I don't think I'm strong enough to do that, but I'll try. There we go. I did it. I'm so excited I got it. Hola amigos. It's next morning and drive shaft is in. I have it in. I'm so excited. It was a pain in the butt to get this drive shaft in. I basically had to hold the front half with my knee while pushing on the transmission with my foot, and then holding the rear half of the drive shaft and try to pry the 2 halves together. And I was able to do that by loosening the hardware up front on where it mounts to the back of the transmission, and allowing some slack in that hardware there let the front half of the drive shaft dip down enough that I was able to match the rear and then kind of pry them back up together as a whole unit, and then balanced it with my arm and threaded in bolt into the center carrier bearing. So it's all loosely buttoned up together right now. I'm going to get this drive shaft fully tightened with all the hardware, downpipe back on, but main thing is I just want to get this all back together. I'm gonna torque the hardware up there on the drive shaft, but I couldn't find the torque specs online, so I just looked up the recommended torque per a bolt size, which I have M10 and M8 bolts on here. So for an M10 bolt, roughly you should torque it to 45 Newton meters, which in American standards that translates to roughly half a package of Fig Newtons. Come on, you know that's funny. All I gotta do now is put the Haldex fuse back in the car that was pulled when I drove it back from Utah, since the drive shaft was zip tied under the car. So here we go. That. Should work now. I'm gonna go take it for a drive now, because I would just start it and let it creep on the lift, but I don't think that's how Haldex works. If I get this correctly, I think I need to be on the ground and it only sends power to the rear if traction is lost back there. I think that's how Haldex works. That's why there's a fuse, it's electronic. Now last time I did this, when I gave it the beans from a dead stop, he spun through first gear. So if the all-wheel drive is working, it should just hook and go. So let's give this a test. Oh, it works! Yay! I have all-wheel drive again. Here goes. It is for sure all-wheel drive now. When I get on it, it does not spin the front tires, it just hooks and goes. Oh, this is so awesome. I'm so happy this worked out. And he drives fairly decently. I just gotta change those rear wheel speed sensors, and I gotta change this oil pressure sensor. That should be it, and this thing's gonna be good to drive, and I can start upgrading stuff on this thing instead of fixing stupid broken crap. Anyway, I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye. Hello. So, sorry, I'm just being extra creepy today.